the pleasant summer of 1914, the American community was enjoying life, was finding it easier and happier than ever before in its history.
Washington cream pie? You like a cookie?
In America's brave little world of 1914, a self-contained and contented people could look back with satisfaction on nearly a century and a half of unparalleled progress and prosperity. American industry led the world and was rapidly increasing its lead. To contribute to and share in the wealth of a growing nation, emigrants from every part of the world were still flocking to U.S. shores, bringing up their children in the American community as new first-generation Americans. Most communities of any size in 1914 could boast of their own daily newspaper, whose editor championed their causes, helped fight their battles. And Americans of 1914 were little interested in news outside their own community and their own nation. The country was still debating after 2 years the merits of the new freedom, slogan of Woodrow Wilson, the first Democrat to occupy the White House since Grover Cleveland. The Panama Canal, in which the whole nation took pride, was scheduled finally to be opened in mid-August. And the man most responsible for the canal, ex-President Theodore Roosevelt, was still a powerful figure on the U.S. political scene. The regular army of the United States totaled just under 100,000 men in the summer of 1914, and many a U.S. citizen felt that even this number was excessive for a force that had little to do but chase Mexican bandits. Heavier than aircraft were undergoing tests by a few young and far-sighted Army officers who hoped eventually to put the new invention to some useful military purpose. Fast achieving popularity was the hesitation canter, a startling new outgrowth of the turkey trot. In 1914, young citizens of America were looking forward with high hopes to the future of a land which was still the New World. It was a settled and ordered world in which youth, keen and confident, saw limitless opportunities. There were new standards and new ideals, new entertainment and new pleasures.
Well, just as the train came to a trestle, she got to the window and jumped out.
Well?
Well, that's the way it ended until next week. Isn't that just like them?
An earnest people, living in a land grown powerful and great, were only beginning to realize how truly great their nation was. Until the arrival of the paper train on a morning of June 1914, Europe and Europe's troubles seemed very far away.
Say, Harry, is an archduke like a prince? Or was he like a king?
Search me.
In the days that quickly followed the first declaration of war, as country after country mobilized and marched, the news that mattered most was the news of Europe and its spreading battlefronts. It was America's foreign-born who first felt the impact of the war in Europe, and they tried as best they could to explain it to their American friends. To them, war was a sad, familiar old world story, the age-old blight upon the lands from which they came.
Anna, Weiskirchen, look, right here in the paper.
Registered letter for Joe, Mrs. Kovacs. Looks like something from the old country. You can sign for it.
Maybe Joe ought to sign for this.
You don't want me to bring it back again, do you? Sign right here. Thank you. Goodbye.
Hello, Anna. What are you doing here?
Joe, the postman brought it this morning. What does it say, Joe?
It's for the army. We talk it over when we get home, Mama. Any from Austria?
I don't know where they're from, but the Pathé Weekly is on now.
gyerekek. Szólítok a...
You got army papers too, huh, John?
Yeah, come today.
What you think?
Not for me. That's old country business. I'm staying in America with the wife and kids. What you going to do?
If you don't go now, you'll never get back to old country. I go Monday, maybe.
Joe?
Now, Mama, in times like these, a man's got to do what he thinks is right.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.
When do you go, Joe?
I take the train for New York this afternoon.
Did you ask them about the money?
Well, Anna, they said it's hard to get money through from the old country now.
What are we going to live on? Oh, Pop, I'm sorry.
Come, we go.
With the invasion of neutral Belgium, Americans awoke to the full and terrible implications of a modern war. A taxicab army, rushed from Paris, wrought the miracle of the Marne. Britain's contemptibles, as the Kaiser called them, were desperately holding the Flanders front. American military men knew that Germany had devoted all her energies for 20 years to building up the greatest war machine the world had ever seen. Armies that were now systematically destroying in their advance the towns, the cities, and the homes of a simple, peace-loving people. And there were signs in the American community that the nation was aroused.
Razor all right, Congressman?
John, I'm not going to find it so easy to be neutral in thought.
Already the war in Europe was finding its way into the everyday lives of Americans. Americans of every age.
H2O. Twice, if you please, Anna. Say, I'm sorry to hear that you're quitting school. Do you have to?
What else can I do? I've got to help Mother. I don't understand Pop doing what he did.
Well, I suppose you can't blame anybody for being patriotic.
But he didn't have to go over there. It wasn't his war.
The war will be over in a couple of months anyway. That's what my father says, and he used to be in the German army.
I suppose he thinks the Germans are going to win.
They win every day, don't they?
If your old man likes Germany so much, he better go back there. That goes for you, too.
Never mind him, Freddie.
Hey,
Don't let that guy get your goat.
The army advanced along the whole front again today. Some places nearly 5 kilometers.
You're not eating much tonight, Fred. What's the matter?
Nothing, Mom. I'm just not hungry.
Anna Kovacs has had to quit school.
Her father's been called by the Austrian army, and now she has to work.
So?
Dad, it's getting so that all you and everybody else talk about is this war all the time. Today I said that you'd been in the German army and that you thought the Germans would win in 2 months. I didn't mean anything.
It almost started a free-for-all, Father.
That's too bad, Frederick. Perhaps I should be more careful. It is very wrong for any of us to get personally agitated about the war so far away. We are in America. President Wilson says, this is a war with which we have nothing to do. That is how we all must try to feel.
Under the personal command of Kaiser Wilhelm II, the armies of Imperial Germany seemed invincible in the summer of 1914. And Americans began to realize that belief in a just cause was not enough against superior manpower and superior armaments. The bravery of the Belgians, fighting on to hold the Channel ports, further heightened America's desire to help these stricken people.
Most Americans feel that the invasion of Belgium was the most barbarous act ever committed by a civilized nation. We are not here to discuss the rights and wrongs of the European war. We are here to help its innocent victims, little children, helpless and starving. The Committee for the Relief of Belgium, under the able chairmanship of Herbert Hoover, can feed a Belgian child for a month on a $5 bill. It is up to us to see that he gets those $5 bills. Yes, and 10s, and 20s, and 50s.
A generous people had assumed its first responsibility of the war, with the help of a young mining engineer named Herbert Hoover. Within 3 months, he had organized a fleet of 35 vessels, carrying more than $1 million worth of food a week to Belgium. As the war entered its first winter, American contributions were keeping alive 10 million homeless, starving people, helpless wards of the one nation of the world still able to feed and care for them.
Aren't these Professor Carter's? Why, of course they are. You suppose he's really bought a new suit? We can't send these old things to the Belgians with St. Luke's name on them.
And those poor Belgian women.
I can't bear to think of them.
Well, I just can't understand it. Why, Dora, we all know German people. Some of us have German friends. Look at the Bensingers. They're as nice as anybody could be.